Look, I didn't lie. We're back, and we're hopping into a match in progress. So, the match Firme chose happens to be 22 Vikings versus Collegiate Connoisseurs. We know little to nothing about these teams. All we know is that they're going to a map 3, and the map 3 is theme park. So, I'm happy.
I can feel it. I mean, we know that they played last night in round 8 of open quals, and that I think it was the 22 Vikings. Misnomer, there's only 5 of them, but it was the 22 Vikings who beat Collegiate 7-5 right there. So they have had a bit of an advantage, but we're already coming out and it's already looking like a good time because Montaigne is banned. Thank God. He's been so oppressive, Grow, in this meta and across these last 2 maps that it's really about time that he got removed.
Also, it doesn't mean 22 like quantity. It's like
I know.
All right,
it's the year. I was just having a good time. No, I know.
I'm just making sure. All right, what the hell? All right, a Warden ban. All right, Monty and Warden. Monty on theme park. Who the hell brings Monty on theme?
I don't know that we should be. I think we're looking for logic and bans. We don't have the whole picture. I've been told that this was a 7-3 and a 7-3 respectively, which is how we ended up on map number 3. So pretty close between these two teams. This is actually kind of surprising because based on last night, when we were talking about predictions, I think I said that 22 Vikings was probably going to walk through this one, but they are part of that kind of wild card area that you and I were talking about, Crow, when we were going over the overall bracket. This is our red bracket, right? They're probably going to end up playing not weebs, and in which case, like you said, it doesn't matter who they are because not weebs will win, but still definitely has the potential to be an interesting map number 3 because I think they're quite evenly matched as teams go.
Yeah, I imagine another close game, even though it was 7-3, 7-3. I mean, hell, maybe this map is also going to be a 7-3. But wow, okay. All right, Collegiate Connoisseurs. Glaz, Blitz, Amaru.
That's a lineup. that's a lineup.
Right.
I'll give it to him. Don't think it's the lineup we're going to be seeing, though.
No, I mean, we got 10 seconds left.
Oh, it's going to happen, baby. And it's cooking.
They're just not changing. All right, what the hell are they going to do? All right, so they're attacking Throne, by the way. Throne. With basically no, like, you can't attack this site with just a hard breach charge.
This is nuts. That's a bonkers comp. I mean, I love the Collegiate guys, and I actually have heard these names before. Like, I know Wacko, I know Mustard, I know Arno, Desan. I've seen them play before, and the Collegiate people, they love to have fun. So that's what they're clearly gearing up for here. Just don't know if this is gonna work. A point blank rush in, and it just gets eaten alive by the 22 Vikings. They love it. And Kosa actually pushed all the way in here, kind of unmarked. Won't be able to win the gunfight. That went probably about as good as you and I thought it was going to go when we saw those picks, Crow.
All right. Wow, they're not happy about that. Even though 22 Vikings won the round. I mean, there's not a... Why are they so angry? What?
It's the anger that's funny. maybe like, come on.
Maybe something else happened, like with the other, on the other maps. We don't know.
Bread character right there. Couldn't help it. That was funny.
Not. I mean, there's not a lot to talk about with that round.
No.
They rushed and they died. Cool. All right. Moving on, round number 2, Bunk and Daycare going to be the next site for 22 Vikings, and a much more down-to-earth lineup. Dokubi being brought out from Wacko, Arno on the Ying too, a very common operator on this site. Kosa opting for the Ace instead of the Hibana we normally see. That's fine. I mean, normally we see 1 or 2 hard breachers on a lot of these sites just because of how many walls that you can open up, and especially with a Mira on the board. Hibana would be probably a lot better, but you do have the Twitch too. As long as Mustard can sneak in there, then you can get those. You can get use out of it. But all right, with Desan getting off Iana and on Lion, they now no longer have any nades.
Okay. Well, again, it's a bit let's say it's unorthodox, I guess, is my most charitable interpretation that I want to give it. I mean, you would prefer to have the nades here on this push, and I'll be honest, I haven't seen a ton of theme park play, so it's always a little hard for me to see how teams are going to want to do this. But the defensive setup here for 22 Vikings looks pretty solid, and I just don't know if Collegiate connoisseurs have the tools in their kit to really crack it. I mean, you're going to maybe rely a lot on RNO to get those Candelas into position, but that, of course, is going to require you to get RNO into position. And there's a lot to be cleared here on the side of Vikings in terms of both operators and util. Whoa.
I think, by the way, I think another match just concluded. Oh, wow, a bunch of matches have concluded. All right, we'll get to that after this round. J-Rock is going to lead things off with a kill on Kosa, so the ace is now dead. You're only hard breach. That was a biblical pre-fire from Arno onto J-Rock to trade off that alibi, but, I mean, you trade an alibi for an ace on this site? Yeah, you take those. The mirror window's still up, too. Things are just going from bad to worse for this attack, especially with now half the round eclipsed. But here comes Mustard looking to make something happen. The C4, though, distracts him, and BZ comes in for the 1-2 punch. Now the flanker is dead. Arno's got to try and make something work, but he's working against a mirror window. Wacko comes in. Is he going to search for the operator in time? No. Reenactment gets basically a freebie with that Thorn. Now the 2 versus 4. Arno gets another one right behind the mirror window, but as he makes his way, trying to make headway into that bomb site, he gets cut down by BZ. Jisan, now the last one left. Looking for the pistol kill is BZ. A little bit of hubris being shown on stream here. The line finally works his way in, but he's got 50 seconds to play with no case control and is playing in a 1 versus 3. At the very least, the attack, or the defense, doesn't really know exactly where he's at. They can only go off basic sound cues, but they at least know what room he's in, and they're going to be holding a very passive crossfire. With BZ really the only one holding a solid angle, Owen might come in for the trade should BZ die, or perhaps play off his contact, but so far the Lion and the Y just dancing around each other. Finally the swing comes in, BZ gets his 3rd kill of the round, and 22 Vikings string 2 in a row.
That one at least was a more serious effort out of the side of Collegiate. It wasn't completely out of the box bonkers, but I mean, again, it was the lack of frag grenades was an issue. I mean, it genuinely was. I think there was a couple of positions right there that they could have done a pretty good job of clearing out if they had maintained their frags, and they just didn't have them, right? So a bit of an oversight, and I think 22 Vikings was happy to capitalize on that. You look too at some of the drone work. I mean, you think about that stairs kill, for example. That's just a classic bit of like misdroning, right? You've got one target, you think that's the only target up there, and then you just have the guy swing out from the other side. You don't even know he's there, and BZ played merry havoc up there in that hallway, and they're setting BZ up in a similar position again, I think, with the shield going out right there. Maybe not BZ, he is on the Mozzie, but if you don't clear things like that properly, which I don't think Collegiate connoisseurs did, they're just going to continue to be problems. And it was literally the decisive point of the entire round was BZ playing that corridor.
Yeah, you did a great job on that, Wamai. And speaking of people who did great jobs, bunch of matches finished. We're only waiting for 2 more. This game and Turbo & Co. versus Above the Law. So we can run through them real quick. Reality TV, 7-3 on the first map, and then all the way to overtime on Sky, 8-7, but they get the 2-0 over Achieve Academy. We just watched Gangster's Disciple 2-0 Frauds. Stay safe. I mentioned earlier the 2 over Space Tubes. Mystic Academy, we were right, did end up beating Somali Pirates 7-5, 7-4. Not Weaves, a 2-0 over Didn't Ask 7-5, 7-4. And 6 Karma, the 2-0 over Homeland 7-5, 7-4. So, we were 100% so far.
Yeah. Firing on all cylinders. Yeah, not bad at all. It's interesting though that they Reality TV got taken into overtime on Sky. That's kind of cool. Good effort.
All the way to max OT. That's crazy. So Achieve Academy, maybe a team to watch out for heading into maybe next season, if there is a next season. We don't know yet, but
the future.
We'll see. Wacko is again on Glaz for whatever reason. I mean, they've got it. Hell, are we going back to Ying Glaz meta?
Could you imagine if that's what they're trying to run?
Not this round, we're not.
Yeah, we won't find out because Arno gets bodied right there. Wacko, though, does have the sight up. Cannot win the gunfight against Seeks, who absolutely demolishes him. Fortunately, Kosa, there to get the trade, keeps it at least 4v3 and stems the bleeding somewhat, but obviously 22 Vikings well in the driver's seat right here for this round, and honestly feels like for this map, Deson will pop one of those lion pings. It gets absolutely no one, but it does give the Collegiate players the confidence to move up just a little bit here and start droning their way forward. A very horizontal attack, almost no verticality focus at all from the Collegiate side. Look at that top floor. Empty. Nobody even bothering to go up there.
All except Beezy, who's still hanging out, and he could work a pick down those yellow stairs if he times it right, because like you said, no one's bothered to push him out. At least the hatch is reinforced, so the attackers don't have to worry about him dropping split and wreaking havoc in that main hallway, but we come to a standstill. 50 seconds left. Jack is on the arcade stairs as well. Reenactment peeled all the way back in arcade itself. And Collegiate, the Collegiate connoisseurs are having a bit of trouble trying to figure out what they want to do next. They know there's presence off site. Question is, how the hell do they clear it with 3 members left? They've got maybe a stun from Mustard. They've got the Lion Scan from Desan. As the Lion Scan goes through, the peek comes in from Kosa, but he gets absolutely smoked by Reenactment. Mustard tried to blow open the barricade with a Zoe, and he somehow missed with the grenade launcher, and it'll cost him his life. Desan at least gets one, but, I mean, it's not really matter too much. He gets a nice shot onto J-Rock, too, but in a 1 versus 2 with only 4 seconds left, yeah, Reenactment cleans up. 3 kills for that mute, and 3 rounds for the defense.
Yeah, Reenactment playing out of arcade right there. Pretty savage, honestly, doing some good work. And unfortunately for Collegiate connoisseurs, they did have a bit of an opportunity to take Reenactment out, and they just kind of bottled it. Like you saw the Zofia firing the lifeline charges at the window at the absolute wrong time. Should have just sprayed it down with the gun when they had that momentary opening. But whatever, hindsight is 2020. Not been a good series of rounds from the Collegiate connoisseurs. They don't look particularly put together, Crow, and I think that's the thing that, I mean, they've won one of these maps, and they won it 7-3, but maybe it's a lack of familiarity with Theme Park. We saw a lack of familiarity being a huge factor on the last game that we watched as well, but the team compositions they're picking and the operators that they're coming with don't even really gel that well. I don't know. It's a really distinct lack of cohesion from a team that I don't think should be that incohesive.
Yeah, it's definitely been a weird game from Collegiate connoisseurs. Watching them play like this kind of makes me wonder how 22 Vikings managed to lose the second map.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe that's why there was a burst of anger in the beginning of the game. Maybe they're angry at themselves for losing that one map against whatever the hell this is. Against a team with 5 kills in 3 rounds so far. So we'll see if Collegiate connoisseurs can get anything together. On their theme park attacks, they'll have to attack on Throne and Armory, arguably the best site on the map, with plenty of top floor presence from the defense.
Yeah, and again, you're looking at the situation where there's just so much for Collegiate to cut through here. Like, there's so many layers to this defense before you can even really start to consider attacking the site itself, which is a very hard site to take in and of itself. They've got to clear the top floor. There's multiple roamers up there, right? And it's a lot for Collegiate to deal with. And the connoisseurs, their response to those sort of situations has been something quite like this. Very horizontally oriented attacks. They're not even really considering the top deck, and that's the easiest impact trick right there. They'll finish it off as well, so no Selma to be used in that situation. And you can see what I'm talking about, Crow. All the members of Collegiate here trapped basically in one room on one side of the map or close to it as they try and make this horizontal play.
At least they got the wall open. There's that. They've got pings on people above as well. They'll try to nade this alibi, but... Oh, he actually gets downed. So Seeks is on the floor. The finisher comes in from Kosa. First frag goes the way of Collegiate connoisseurs. Beezy is looking for the refrag, but ends up getting caught himself by Wacko. working his way up those dragon stairs. The breach open, that means Maestro Owen is going to have to watch his back and the main doorway at the same time, but there's a third member now coming upstairs. Reenactment on the Malusi, sees one through the floor, a second two, can't get the kill on Kosa. He'll have to settle for just Desan. The Yin Candelas start to come in as J-Rock gets another. Wacko now dead. Candela's not blinding the Maestro, not just yet, but oh, even though he's blind, Owen still catches Arno and Kosa? What? It's just chilling on the breach, I guess? Was he bugged?
No, I don't think they necessarily knew what to do. I just don't think Kosa knew what to do.
He was just chilling. He was just chilling there like
a deer in the headlights. I think he was a little shell-shocked on that, honestly. I mean, I also could have just been a situation where he realized that he was, you know, stuck between the rock and a hard place, and there wasn't anything he could really do that would necessarily win that round. But that's why you clear, by the way. I mean, they did an okay job of it, but they didn't fully clear. And this actually reminds me a lot of the problem that we saw from Frauds, where there just was an unmarked enemy player that they have no idea where they are. In that case, it's Reenactment, who just waltzes in on the backside of that and absolutely, you know, wrecks the entire plan that Collegiate is going for. Because for a while, as one-dimensional as it was, Collegiate looked like they had an idea of what they were going to do, right? The Connoisseurs were pushing in on a vertical. They had the Ying. It was basically just a hard force of one particular section of that site to get the plant down. But because they left Reenactment completely free, just lost in the wind, the whole thing got bottled at the tail end there. And that's the problem with one-dimensional attacks, you know? And these guys are Collegiate players. They know that there's a problem with one-dimensional attacks.
Attackers must locate and
Regent's full of them.
Yeah, they've seen that, you know, multiple times. They should be aware of these deficiencies.
Well, nothing I've seen so far makes me think it's going to change anytime soon. So let's move on to Opposite Initiation. The 22 Vikings continue to roll on their defenses. At the very least, again, we have a normal team comp. Thatcher, Hib, Ying. To try and work their way through those breaches. Of course, using Ying as the wedge to get themselves probably through that breach and into the bomb site, thanks to those Candelas. They've droned out Cash, confirmed no one's there, and they do spot the mirror window that Owen is playing behind. And the mirror windows last time, playing this side of the map, gave them quite a bit of trouble.
They did, and it's something that they really don't know how to clear, I think, genuinely. I mean, they know how to clear it, obviously, but they're struggling to do it the right way. J-Rock there picking up an easy kill. The Twitch misses, and they waste a Hibana pellet on that as well, though. Ah, yikes. I mean, you use the X-Kairos in there at the same time. That's just unfortunate loss of utility. I mean, she's got a lot of X-Kairos pellets, but you hate to waste them. And now Seeks is the next one in position. And this, again, speaking to what I was talking about last round, there's so much here for Collegiate to cut through. I mean, they really have to deal with a heck of a lot before they're even in a position where they can adequately challenge these bomb sites whatsoever. And it puts a lot of impetus on them to make just play after play after play. And I don't think that Collegiate is necessarily capable of doing that.
They're just kind of wasting the time away after getting that part of the breach open and losing their first member in Arno. More players from 22 Vikings shifting around to support the side of the map. There's a couple now in waiting area. One still holding a niche. One still holding inside of office. Wacko seems to have rotated downwards to get those nades up, but it only succeeds in lighting BZ up to 1 HP. He's still alive, and that's what matters, because if you're alive, you can hold a crossfire. The Hibana of Kosa finishes opening most of that initiation wall, but it's not enough to force these defenders off the upstairs, or sorry, off the extension. BZ evades shots from the opposite side of the upstairs. Hibana now works his way in. Wacko finally gets the kill, but J-Rock has an immediate trade. Mustard is the next to fall. They don't know about the man sitting in the corner, so this could be an easy two-piece for Seeks if he just jumps up right now. He's going to wait for the Hibana to fall in his line of sight. And J-Rock comes in for the assist as Seeks misses some of those shots. And it's 5 in a row now for the defense, and they're showing no signs of stopping.
So except for that first round, Collegiate has shown a real propensity, Crow, to get into situations where they just sort of stall out. usually somewhere around mid-round, right? They just kind of stop. And I don't know if that's a cohesion issue, an IGL issue. I don't know what it is, but that's killer. Like, they're just giving away momentum. They're allowing 22 Vikings to shift. They're allowing 22 Vikings to gather intel and set up their defense. So by the time rolls around that Collegiate connoisseurs are actually ready to make their attack, they've decided what they want to do, they just get eaten alive. And that's exactly what happened right there. That mid-round pause did them no favors, and 22 Vikings were just waiting on the other side of it. And I'm starting to think, just based on what we've seen, that it's a product of the map more than anything else. I talked a lot about having to cut through all these layers of utility. It's slowing them down, because every time they come in here, it's like they're trying to figure out how they want to attack the bomb site for the first time. And that's something that a lack of familiarity would cause in a team that wasn't not necessarily experienced playing on this map. So that's what I'm going to blame it on for now, without any other, further information in my corner. But this just is, this is really rough sledding here for Collegiate connoisseurs. There's no other way to talk about it, really.
And they're going to keep trying, changing different things. They're bringing a Flores now. They've got the Nomad from Kosa and the Lion from Deson. So they got the combo there. Mustard's now on Ash. So a bunch of moving pieces now for the attack. Switching operators, just trying to find a comp that ends up working. We're gonna have to attack now onto the other upstairs site, and I mean, this also went rather poorly. So I don't know. I'm still not terribly convinced that Collegiate connoisseurs are gonna be able to bring anything out.
I mean, at the sake of sounding rude, it's another one of these attacks where I'm looking at the setup that Collegiate connoisseurs have. I'm looking at the operators that they have and the positions that they're playing in, and I'm genuinely trying to figure out, like, what the plan is here. And it just doesn't seem to be immediately self-evident. And if it comes down to another rush again, where they're just all trying to, like, shove their way in through cafeteria or one point or another, I'm going to be frustrated with it. No doubt about it. Reenactment already finding the first kill here. It's Wacko who's down. So that's a bad start. And here I think we're approaching, again, that mid-round pause moment where Collegiate just tries to figure out what the heck they want to do.
I just realized Reenactment is 10-0.
Yep.
That's pretty crazy. Beezy, though, will suffer another death as Arno plays off the window and finds him. Lion scan coming out on one of those players. I believe it being Reenactment himself, as J-Rock is starting to feel the pressure. His wall now open, holding the pixel. Spots the Ash for a moment. Doesn't deal enough damage to Mustard to bring him down, and leaves the Ash just over half HP. But still, there's a lot of waiting around for this Collegiate team, as Seeks now comes in for the assist. Domes one, Domes the other. A beautiful two-piece for the Malusi, and he's looking for more as he continues to push into Bakery, but finally gets taken out by Arno. 3 versus 2, still in the favor of 22 Vikings. Now with the HP squarely in their favor as well, thanks to Arno being in the red. Kosa finally joins his teammate now on that balcony. And Collegiate connoisseurs have to work their way into the building without a foothold, forcing themselves through doorways. J-Rock is holding on to this behind headshot box. As Kosa deviates to the window, looks like maybe they're going to separate? And I'm surprised he actually gets in. He's allowed to vault. J-Rock, though, takes care of his teammate. He lands one headshot onto J-Rock to trade back. Owen's playing passive. Reenactment is far away. Owen still manages to die right behind that wall, but the case has been recovered. And Kosa, he's got a plant. He's going to be forced to stick it with only 1 second left. No, he comes off! Reenactment, what? Doesn't have his sight up? He thought the round was won. He thought he had it.
Yep. Misjudged the time.
Overconfidence.
Yep. Misjudged the timing. I think as simple as that. I really thought that they were locked in there on that plant, and they weren't. There was a split second left. Good. I mean, great play. Pros don't fake unless it works, so it worked that time. Totally caught him off guard, and that's I mean, to be fair, they're 5-1, and that was, I think, Reenactment's first death, so maybe we'll give him a little bit of slack, all things considered. But that's gotta feel good for Collegiate connoisseurs to slip even one in, and in circumstances like that, a nice cheeky little end of round play to push them forward over the line. Still, though, not looking particularly hot here. They've got a hell of a mountain to climb if they want to even this back up, and nothing that they've shown us really seems to indicate that that's a possibility, right? Like that was a round win, but it wasn't because their team necessarily played better at the end of the day. It's just because they, basically because one of the 22 Vikings players made a mistake in a late round scenario, and that's not something you can really hang your hat on as a great success, all things considered.
I'm a little sad though. I was really hoping for the 6-0 and for reenactment to continue to be deathless. It's not even in the most dominant 7-0s we've seen. Very rarely does a player finish with no deaths.
Right.
I thought that would be a cool little milestone for him. But Owen, ooh, avoids the spawn peak. Nearly gets his head cut off there by the alibi of Wacko, but he evades the shots. I'm curious to see what 22 Vikings put together on their attacks. They've got the Amaru from Seeks. They'll be going up against a much more normal defending lineup than anything on the attack that we saw from Collegiate.
Yeah, surprisingly normal. Almost disturbingly so. Pretty standard stuff here. Kosa is the one who's going to push up extra hard here to sort of hold things down, as J-Rock will be the lead entry. Goes ahead and pops the door there on Cafeteria and should be preparing either a drone and a Gemini to go in, but Seeks is going to hop right through a window right there and walk right in the sightline of Mustard, who says thank you very much. Cleans him up, easy peasy. Kosa picks one up on J-Rock as well, so the 22 Vikings initial attack absolutely blunted here as they jump into this one, and that's going to be a bit problematic. The Vikings, however, will not take that mid-round pause. They will just carry on business as usual. Reenactment picks up a kill. Wacko gets the trade. Here comes Owen meeting up in the middle with Beezy, and that'll force Wacko back into a different position, and all that bloodshed, by the way, just to secure this top floor area. They haven't actually touched the bomb site yet.
And they lost their sledge, meaning no vertical play is going to happen either. These anchors are going to be sitting pretty on site. And Owen's going to try and make his way down the dragon stairs. Sending shots out through the door is going to reveal his location. And perhaps prompt Wacko to move on him. Owen is just kind of hanging out here by the doorway. Wacko gets dealt a lot of damage. Owen's going to go for the re-swing and get the finisher. And immediately move into getting ready to open this wall. Maybe. Or not. Maybe hearing the mute jammer behind the wall.
I don't know why he didn't just go for the play. I guess he couldn't necessarily deal with the mute jammer. You're right. So he's trying to rotate to another side that's unprotected. But, I mean, they've got the impact grenade there from RNO, so they'll shut down the breach, sort of. I think they'll still get one side mostly. And now this is a pretty difficult scenario here for Owen, who knows, I think, almost confidently that RNO is sitting in that corner. Though now that he's looking off of it, I'm actually not so sure. He's checking down the other corner. Beezy's got a little bit of smoke here for the entry. Beezy playing off, but it's Kosa who just cleans up Owen as they try and vault in. Beezy goes for the little shot right there, and again, an unmarked player, the big winner in that scenario. The Azami just sitting pretty over here in the corner opposite their teammate.
22 Vikings really getting caught off guard on that upstairs play. They just kind of took it. They walked in. It seemed like they didn't have solid info, and they died. And from there, the man count was so heavily in the favor of the defense that, and the time as well was just so in their favor. 22 Vikings didn't have time to put anything together. Going for yellow wall 2 without any vertical play is pretty much a death sentence. So no surprise there that Collegiate Connoisseurs was able to come away with the round. So they get 2 now. 2 in a row. And they'll move on to Bunk and Daycare.
Maybe they're just a defensive team. I mean, some teams are genuinely like that. They just, take up on the defense, and that's just where they feel most comfortable, and they'll stack up a bunch of wins. I mean, our sample size may be a little too small to be making sort of sweeping judgments about it, so we'll have to see how they do on this round here, transferring as well to a secondary bomb site. RNO picking up on the Azami. This has been a really useful pick. It absolutely bamboozled down at the entryway to Throne Room last time, and it looks like it's setting up for a bit of a bamboozle here as well. Kosa, again, playing a really advanced position. They really like having this mute sort of kicked out almost on their own. And actually, if Kosa's not careful there, they're going to be cut off from the rest of the team because that rotate back is going to be, I think, pretty much denied to them. There's Reenactment, the one who takes up the top stairs and gets caught by the pre-planted nitro cell. I did not think that was going to work, Crow. That's why I didn't mention it, but it worked.
That's crazy. You almost never see the pre-place working on Theme Park. And Wacko is going to get the leadoff kill on a Seeks. So, damage on the sledge, killing the Iana. A hell of a lot of progress made for this defense. And 22 Vikings, once again, find themselves kind of stunted. They've got to clear to this top floor now, -1 player. Minus a set of nades, too. And there's still more layers to peel back. There's still a mute that they're going to have to play around if they want to breach, which means BZ's going to have to get in there. That or Reenactment's going to have to waste some nades. Another C4 kill now as Wacko kills J-Rock. Again, leaving Reenactment up and lit just serves to further the defender's advantage. If you just keep killing everyone around that guy, the less HP he has for the clutch, the better. A third now for Wacko as he wraps around by Dragon, shoots BZ in the back of the head, and leaves Reenactment wondering. D-Son, a beautiful shot over that railing onto Owen. And Reenactment is just going to go up to the roof. He's probably going to try and discuss with his team how the hell they're going to fix their attacks so they can close out this map.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing right there. I mean, Reenactment, unfortunately, was one of the people who started off so roughly by getting caught with that nitro cell. But the thing that I wanted to drive home here is very much like the Collegiate Connoisseurs and showing, again, how these teams do actually seem to be relatively evenly matched, despite what that scoreline would belay. The Collegiate Connoisseurs had very one-dimensional attacks. The 22 Vikings also showing us a pretty one-dimensional attack right there, right? Everybody focused up kind of on the balcony in that one entry level, which I guess was to clear that side of the map, but not very good, not very convincing. And I mean, the reason that Wacko was able to get a C4 kill is because the Vikings players were just sitting on the balcony, all grouped up together. And it's not a particularly great moment for them, and they really are very unhappy in the chat right now. Both sides. There's a lot of tension in this match, bro. I'm not gonna lie. There's been some stuff that have gone down on those 7-3s that we don't know about.
Maybe.
5 seconds to go.
SMAF 3, focus up. So the Collegiate Connoisseurs are going to be able to take a flawless defense to win 3 in a row. The lead that 22 Vikings had is slowly slipping from their fingers. More BM coming out in the chat, too. Can you smoke by our glass, man? Oh, my God. Initiation office. Now is the defense.
Propaganda warfare in the chat. Like they've launched the third column. Like they're trying to drive 22 Vikings insane. I don't think it's gonna work, but it is funny to see it in action. You can't tell me that's not a strategy in and of itself.
Yeah, they're playing the mental warfare. I remember this was before your time, I think, but I remember in T3 Kool-Aid would always have like Kool-Aid and Woods, I think. And Penguin was pretty mean if he wanted to be too. They had like the most dastardly shit talk I've ever seen. And then Kool-Aid immediately after the game would be like, GG's guys, I didn't mean it, I swear. Like, I'm sorry I was mean. I was just playing the mental game. And he would immediately apologize. I always thought it was so funny. How he would
Big Dog's got a bark.
He would say the filthiest things in game and then instantly like apologize afterwards. But you know, it's a valid strategy. That's why so many people, like including Kool-Aid, just turn chat off and then like just talk to the void. Because like if the other people have chat on the off chance, then they're probably not gonna be too happy. And either way, you know, it's entertainment for us. So we win at the end of the day.
That's what's important, really, at the end of the day, is that we win, and we're given the maximum entertainment possible by the gladiators that are laid out before us. We have maximum entertainment. Seeks coming in on the Amaru, which is a pick that we actually saw a Collegiate run with, if I remember correctly. Did not work out particularly well for them, so we'll see if Seeks is going to have better luck. Clearly aiming towards the window there, waiting to jump into the kitchen. as the rest of the 22 Vikings players sort of begin to make their way around. That's the only oddity in the lineup. Everything else I think is pretty stando on both of these defensive sides, actually. A lot of drone denial, by the way, on the side of Collegiate. They're leaning in with both a Mozzie and a Mute. So they are really trying to win the information game here between these two sides and keep 22 Vikings as blind as possible when it comes to actually attacking these bomb sites.
Speaking of the Mute, he's got a jammer in pocket still.
Interesting.
Odd. He also had a, what do you call it? He tried to do the C4 trick again, which is why Reenactment typed sad in the chat. But what's even more sad is that he's going to get run out on. 2 kills for the defense responded by the attack. So we're in an even 3 versus 3, but up comes Mustard, stopped by barbed wire. The attackers are so close, they'd be able to hear him wading through it. All Owen needs to do is peek down that staircase, and he's got a freebie, but he's avoiding it for now. Finally, he comes through, and Mustard misses the shots. Lets Owen live another day. 22 Vikings. They've licked their wounds. They're going to try and have to get this attack together. They're making sure they're not going to flank from below. That's VZ's job, but Mustard wins the fight anyway on that flank, despite the Twitch holding it down. Now they're distracted. J-Rock looking like he's going to go for the trade. No, peeking into the site. Kosa's the one holding the wall. Owen dies to Wacko. And Collegiate Connoisseurs, they are bringing it back. J-Rock dusted from the hallway. And it's 5-4 now.
Absolutely cut them apart right there. I think maybe it is genuinely the information game. Like, I think that's a huge issue because it really does feel like 22 Vikings don't have a very good idea of where their opponents are. I think the only time in that entire round number 9 where I felt like the 22 Vikings had a good idea of somebody where somebody was when Alibi was trapped on the arcade stairs. That was pretty much it. I think that was the only time that I think they felt comfortable knowing where one of their opponents were. And you can tell because the way that they're approaching some of these gunfights and the way they're getting hit when they're just moving around the map speaks to me of a team that really just kind of is looking at a black hole when it comes to trying to figure out where the defenders are. And in return, I think that Collegiate Connoisseurs are really happy to play in that kind of environment, right? Like they're not as structured. I don't think they're as organized. And I think that kind of more chaotic sort of everybody's fighting in the dark approach really favors them a lot more than it does the 22 Vikings side.
Yeah, this defense has really turned the match on its head. The Collegiate Connoisseurs, like Kosa said in chat, one more round and they're even. I mean, 22 Vikings were up 5-0. This will be a monumental toss if they end up losing this map. And probably a little embarrassing too. Especially too, because you got like, you know, Reenactment going 12-3, J-Rock's 9-6. No one else is doing a whole lot. Meanwhile, Collegiate Connoisseurs, except for D-Son, relatively even. The Alibi is gonna run out, but Seeks is around the corner, so Wacko does not get away with it. Instantly responded to with some banter. So, Collegiate Connoisseurs, they lose the first man, just like that.
Oh, so fast on the chat. He must have literally, those fingers must have flown across those keyboards to get that. The APM, crazy good to get that out. But a bit of a foolish play from Wacko, let's be honest. You're not beating them that bad where that kind of stuff is going to work. And I still think 22 Vikings are the stronger side here. They're trying it again.
Wow.
Okay, that time it worked. Mustard basically Assassin's Creed dropped on top of somebody. And I don't think you'd expect that to happen twice in one round. So fair play to Mustard for calling it out. But the rest of them, I mean, they're still together. They're still pushing in. And Seeks is, yeah, genuinely confused as to what exactly happened right there. Mustard says they came from heaven, so go for it. Love the talk in the chat for what it's worth. As J-Rock here actually making pretty good use of this IQ, by the way, giving him a bunch of intel about the defenses that are awaiting them down there on that armory site. But 1 minute, 20 seconds left. They're gonna have to start making some plays here, Crow, or they're not gonna be able to close this out. That armory site is so hard to get into that if you dilly-dally too much on the top floor, you're just not going to have enough time left in the bank to really make a difference.
Can you imagine if right after Mustard got that kill, he just typed your ass in chat? as a response.
Right back at him.
I was really hoping for it once he stopped running, but it never came. Mustard gonna get very lit up, trading a lot of damage with J-Rock, but J-Rock can't get the finisher. No, the metal bar is protecting the Malusi as he gets away. Still a 3 versus 4, but the hatch being opened by the ace. Now tucked in the corner, I believe that's the mute of Kosa. Deson is the man all the way behind the throne, I think, with Mustard playing towards the middle of the site. Yellow wall now open as well. Sorry, I got that backwards. Yeah, no, Mustard is playing in the middle of the site. The vertical play, not really succeeding in much except getting damage on that Malusi. There's only 15 seconds left. And the 22 Vikings are going to have to get a move on. Owen looks like he'll be the first through the breach, but he won't even get through it. Mustard domes him, looking for another right behind the right behind the Azami barrier. He gets it. Deson tags on as well. Beezy's forced to try and get the plant down. The impacts come out. They race for him, and he won't even get it down. It was close, but Mustard gets his third, or rather his fourth. And it's 5-5.
It's 5-5. It's crazy. I mean, I do have to say on the side of the 22 Vikings, I mean, good Lord, you know, you secured your verticality, which is so critical. You secured your verticality, and the end result of that was you still came into that with an incredibly one-dimensional attack. Like, all that effort, all that time, opening up all those holes, getting all that positioning, clearing out everybody, holding on to that area. And the end result of that is this: everybody comes through one wall. Like, that was where we were at the end of all of that. And that's just kind of frustrating. I mean, that's frustrating, I'm sure, for the 22 Vikings, but it's frustrating to watch because it's so much prep work done to then just kind of be squandered. And maybe it is just an issue of timing, Crow. I mean, I am a little shocked that 22 Vikings have struggled this much on the attack, just given how they looked on the defense. I thought that their level of comfort and level of knowledge of this map would have really put them farther forward than this.
Wow, and Collegiate connoisseurs right now are just typing up a storm. Oh, now the off stream is coming into play.
Oh boy.
Wow. This is mean. Like I said, you know, it's only fun if they type back and they're silent.
Yeah.
I mean, they
just
granted
being put in right there.
Granted, they should be. These dudes just dropped 5 rounds in a row to tie the score. Like, attacking theme park is hard, but man, it should not be this hard. So we find ourselves even. 22 Vikings drop a 5-round lead. I think the mental game might be getting to them. Collegiate connoisseurs look like they're just having fun. And they are, wow, they are letting the Vikings hear it.
Yeah, they are. They're barking. And the Vikings, I mean, the fact that they're not barking back, I think probably is reflective of how uncomfortable they feel right now on this attacking side. Like you said, attacking theme is hard. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I can't believe they're doing, you know, they're not doing enough on the attack. It should be easy. It's not easy. It's a difficult map, but they should have at least picked up a round here. They came into this attacking half with all the cards in their favor and have just failed to manifest anything from this. I mean, really, it just looked absolutely tepid. They're just kind of squeaking by, and you can't be getting caught out by things like nitro cells and people jumping out of windows and just silly stuff. Beezy actually running the risk of it and clipped right at the start again as they sort of get their setup going here, and maybe a little bit of tempo, maybe a little bit of speed out of the side of 22 Vikings would help out and perhaps just discombobulate this Collegiate side a little bit.
Arno's got the protection of these Kiva barriers, though, as he continues to shoot off drones. Yazami, wow, just peeks right into the side of J-Rock. There's an opening frag for 22 Vikings. Could be what they need to get the ball rolling, even though they did just lose a 3v5, or rather a 5v3 from their perspective. Yana Clone coming out, checking out lockers, searching for the other players downstairs. It won't go up yellow.
No way.
And, uh-oh, he's going to make his move. Kosa knows exactly where that clone just came from. He's looking for this Iana. Oh, and he'll back off. He's got to hear it. He turn around and he'll one pump Seeks to the ground. Reenactment dies off screen as well. So there goes the man count for the attack. BZ lit up too. Finished off by Wacko. What a shot from the Mozzie. Candela's need to come in. He needs to make a play, but Owen can't do anything. J-Rock's alone in a 1 versus 4, and he loses the fight. Collegiate connoisseurs 6 in a row, and they're going to let the attack hear it.
Wow. This is a squad bro. I call them squad broken moments, and that's a squad broken moment. Like you're just done. Like you're just done. You're just done. You can't make it work. 22 Vikings clearly cannot find whatever solution is needed here to pick the lock on this Collegiate defense. And they're on match point. They have literally bottled this as much as it is human, almost as much as it is humanly possible to bottle something in Rainbow Six Siege. I don't know what's going on in their brains. I really don't. 22 Vikings must be absolutely just out of answers, and Collegiate is happy with that. They've clearly got their opponents in a state where they feel comfortable. They're catching them off guard. Kosa's running up and getting misdroned and getting early kills and all sorts of mess. And Collegiate just kind of letting it happen. They will be lucky, bro, if they can push this into overtime. I think that would be an incredible thing to happen right here, just the way that this has been going.
I think we're about to see one of the most monumental throws that we've seen in a while. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go to Twitter. I'm gonna go to my notifications, where earlier, Dolly replied, or Dolly and Mello were saying the bottom left is wrong because 22 Vikings were gonna win. That's what Mello said, and Dolly said they don't need any luck. They are 10 times better than all 3 of the other teams. So I'm gonna go ahead, hit the quote tweet button, and wait for this match to end.
You won't have to be waiting long, methinks, but who knows? Maybe we'll drag it into overtime, but I don't think it's happening. Not living up to the performance of their namesake here are the 22 Vikings. Collegiate playing this defense pretty solid. It's not a big change from any of the other stuff that they've shown us. And there's the first pick already. Seeks is brought down. The 8 and 10 gun of Seeks, one of the third highest kill count on the team, will not be in it anymore, and they lose those lifelines as well. Owen now gonna step up to the breach here? No, thankfully it's J-Rock who pushes in, triggers the proximity alarm, pre-planted C4 to the floor. You are kidding me? It downed Owen as well?
Wow.
That just eviscerates anything that 22 Vikings is gonna do. That is it.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
Well, Seeks, if he's the dumbest player of all time, then why'd you fucking die to it, huh? You just cannot be shit talked. Like, I'm sorry. Like, shut the fuck up. You just can't. You can't be dying to that shit and then calling them the dumbest players of all time. If they're so bad, then fucking be like, like this stuff pisses me off.
Yeah,
Fuck you.
I understand.
Fuck you. Loading bag. Win. All right. If you're gonna talk all that shit and go silent when you've dropped 6 rounds in a row, back up your shit talk.
Yep.
Or at least own up to the fact that you just trolled your only chance at getting in this league. And you'll be stuck doing what? Xenon? Like what are you gonna do? Play Go Fours for the next 6 months? Nah. All right. Owen dies to Arno. Easy and Reenactment are the only 2 left between 22 Vikings in defeat in a 2 versus 4. Shotgun holding a 90-degree angle. I will be floored if Beezy wins this fight, and of course he's not going to. You know why? Because there's no info. Even though there was a laser in the doorway. Desan takes a decent bit of damage, but really how much is that going to matter? Mustard puts him in the dirt. 7 rounds in a row. Dumbest players of all time, huh? Well, your IQ must be in the dirt if you lose to it then. Collegiate with a tremendous comeback, down 0-5 to win without overtime. They eliminate 22 Vikings, and they will go and they'll play Dan 3041. I can't believe that. Either Dan 3041 or a stack of Collegiate players is going to be playing in SCS.
Yeah, fair enough. You good, brother? I think you just had about as much of a come to Jesus moment as you could ever have, with a lot more F words than I think most people fit into their come to Jesus moments. But the fact still stands. I mean, you're right. At the end of the day, everything you said, it was correct. If you're gonna chat mad shit and you're gonna act like you're a great team, you shouldn't be getting caught by proximity alarms and pre-planted nitro cells. It's ridiculous. I said it before the round started. His squad broken. Vikings 22 didn't have the answers that they needed. There was just nothing there. And, you know, it's funny enough. You mentioned at the end of the day, what killed them? The information game. And it was the thing that had killed them across all of their defensive rounds. And sometimes that was because it was being played into by the other side. They were doing a good job of exploiting that. But a lot of the time it was because the Vikings just weren't looking where they needed to look. They weren't doing what they needed to do. And they were making mistakes. And you don't win if you make those kind of mistakes.
Yeah, and you know what? Especially too when they were on their attack, getting caught out by all these random little 1v1s, jump outs, right?
Yeah.
From like Mustard and stuff like. You know what fixes that? Playing top down like you're supposed to play theme park, playing together instead of sending people on like some sort of weird solo entry by lockers. I don't know. That was definitely not how you attack theme park. And man, that one trolled round from reenactment. We showed way too much hubris, thinking that plant was going to have to be stuck on 000. Really paid the price for it. If he just won that, could be a different game, could be overtime, maybe even getting a last attacking win to put it away 7-5, but it's not to be. It's 22 Vikings are eliminated. Any of the other games, the Turbo and Co. Wow, the Turbo and Co. game, I think, is still going on as well.
Still pumping.
Wow.
No end.
But that's it for us. That's it for you and me. We were only doing the first game. We got another 2 coming in right after, and they'll actually have to wait because I think Turbo and Co. and Above the Law is finishing map 3 on the B stream, and then they'll be doing 6 Karma against the winner of that game on this stream. So we'll flip to the B stream while that game is still going on. You can wait there, and then after that, we'll have the next game up and ready. Thank you all for tuning in, watching, sticking with us. We will be right back with the B stream and then the last match of the night.